Steven, do you happen to know the score of the Celtics Heat game right now?
We're working on it, and we'll be back soon.
Look at that. He's finally got the microphone.
He pulled out the microphone. He did it. Screw you, Ernie. You said you should get a new adapter. Hell no. I knew I'd find it.
Where was it?
It was in a box pretty close to the couch.
Good gods. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. The reason I'm asking, thank you, Ernie's. We may need your help. I'm a little flustered right now. You pay so much for YouTube TV, and they can't give you everything that they ask for. So me and Steven both have YouTube TV, and anybody that's trying to watch YouTube TV right now with the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics, you are shit out of luck. You are just going to see a spinning wheel, and it says we're working on it, and we'll be back soon. And this has been going on for about the entire game right now. And this is what we all sign up for when we cut the cord and we stream live games. But if you're going to charge a shit ton of money and charge a shit ton of money for, Sunday Ticket and, not have MLB Network on opening day, then this is a problem. This is a problem.
It's very creative waiting picture, though. It's got like a space alien sucking up a cat, a rose, and it looks like a mini orange cactus. Is that what I'm seeing there?
It's got it's suggesting that aliens have taken over the broadcast, but it's just
maybe they have.
Nah, I say it's just YouTube TV fucking up big time. Ernie, you have YouTube TV? Are you able to watch this? Let us know.
If you can, because everything else is working. I think they got the Cornhole Championships on right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Cornhole actually very underrated as far as entertainment goes. I can sit down and watch professional cornhole. Love professional cornholing.
Ernie downloaded the TNT app. Okay. So he planned ahead when he realized that shit was going south. I will keep track of this game and we'll see what the score is right now, actually. It is
the AFC the 1986 AFC Championship game is on.
I did actually turn to that for a little bit. Miami Heat are up 114. The Celtics are up 109. So if there's any changes in that, we'll let you know for anybody that cannot watch this game right now, which is complete bullshit. And I wanted to bring this up later, but I'll bring it up now. This makes me worried because the NFL announced today, or a couple days ago actually, that they're going to do the hell are you doing your camera?
I'm trying to get my remote here so I can turn down the volume. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah, we saw a good crotch shot of you. NFL announced that they're going to have exclusive games on Peacock, and not just regular season games, a playoff game. And that makes me worried because I don't have Peacock. I'll have to use somebody's login. Thank you, Steven. I didn't ask, but
it's $5 a month. You can't cough up $5.
No, because I don't want to. Like this is a slippery slope we're going to of buying all these apps.
Yeah,
and especially having live games on them. So if I'm trying to watch an NFL playoff game, or if bars are trying to watch an NFL playoff game, and this is buffering, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah, I know it's brutal. And then when you take Sunday Ticket into it, you wonder that's going to be a lot of bandwidth. That's going to be a lot of. Is that even the right term? I'm trying to sound smart talking about streaming. It's going to use a lot of bandwidth.
That's what people say. Yeah,
there's going to be tons of viewers, maybe more than they can handle. I don't know what's the issue right now. But the thing is, though, working behind the scenes before in a radio station during a play-by-play broadcast, the amount of panic that goes through everything when something like this happens, I can't imagine. I'd love to be a fly on the wall right now in the TNT broadcasting truck or wherever they're broadcasting out of, whatever main room this is going from, because I'd love to hear the phone calls. I'm sure whoever the director is super pissed right now. Some lower level employees getting blamed for something and he or she has no idea what to do.
Well, especially when the NBA playoffs are officially sponsored by YouTube TV. So this is a colossal fuck up on their part. And
something called Epic Yellowstone is on the Smithsonian channel if anyone's interested.
Not just any Yellowstone, Epic Yellowstone.
epic Yellowstone. It's got the title picture is a buffalo covered in snow.
I think I'll pass on that for now. I'll just give
I'm
up.
going back to the American Cornhole League. That's it.
What is that on the Ocho?
No, it's on ESPN2, dude.
Nice.
Maybe the Ocho.
Only in August, I guess.
It's not an obscure sport. This is a real sport.
You're right, Steven. You're right. And I do love playing cornhole at a good old bar in a good old backyard. Anyway, so yeah, if there's any changes in the Heat and Celtics game, we'll let you know about that, as that game is in the fourth quarter with about 3:40 left. And hopefully we get to see the game, but apparently we won't. Isn't it weird to be watching, though, the NFL, not the NFL playoffs, but the NBA playoffs, and not have the Warriors on this time of year? Just feels kind of weird. And I don't know if we're just spoiled in that aspect, but it just seems weird to me. Like I said before on the last podcast that I've never produced radio when the Warriors were not in the finals, and that's just been a luxury. Like more talking points, more, stories to talk about. And now we're kind of, hey, 4 hours of Casey Schmidt. Oh, yeah. Or what are the Warriors going to do this offseason? There's plenty of time to get out to all that stuff, but it just feels weird this time of year to not be talking about a Western Conference Finals for the Warriors. But maybe, like I said, we're just spoiled.
Yeah. You didn't work in radio in 2019, 2020? You didn't work for that season?
No, dude, I left to go to NFL Network then. So I left at it's crazy. Every year that I worked in 95.7 The Game and at KMBR, I had the Warriors in the NBA Finals. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. They went to the finals with the Raptors. I left that summer to go to NFL Network, then worked there in 2020, 2021, and then came back last summer, and the Warriors were in the finals.
Okay, gotcha.
So I've lucked out. I should say I'm spoiled.
Yeah, you should have been working during the Jordan Poole, Eric Paschal days. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that 15-win season. At that point I was living in LA, and I was like, oh, thank God I avoided that.
Yeah, it was. I was a Draymond apologist on the air. A lot of people were calling him out for like his lack of leadership and all this stuff during that time. And I was like,
seems like that happens today too, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that because there's
that
interview we did with Stephen A was very telling. But and actually, I haven't listened to that podcast episode that he came out with today. I know that just dropped earlier. I haven't listened to that yet. But I was going to listen to that tomorrow morning. Yeah, I was going to listen to that tomorrow morning. All I saw some clips about him talking about Victor Wembanyama and LeBron. And anyway, what was I going to say? Well, yeah, during that season though, that was a time when like nothing was happening. So I'm kind of used to it, I guess. I'm not gonna say this is new territory for me. We had 2 years off before last year when they made it deep into the postseason. So I don't know. It's not that unusual. I'd probably say this more in 2020 than I would in 2023.
Yeah, no, I got you. I guess just new to me. They did lose to the Lakers in the playing game and lose to the Grizzlies. They were knocked out before any playoffs. And then, of course, you mentioned the 15-win season. But I don't know. We just got so accustomed to it that it's going to be weird, especially we'll talk about it a little bit later, but us going to Greek Fest this Saturday and having no Warrior game to watch in the background.
Yeah, that's going to suck.
Yeah, it will.
But you know what, though? We could focus on the dancing. We could focus on the Luka Males. We could focus on the lamb
No. I still want Lakers and Nuggets in the background.
The Gyros, the Mitos, the Uzo. What else? What have I not mentioned?
What's the
Saga? The Saganaki.
Yeah, Saganaki.
Yeah.
I almost said Saga Nasty. Back to Draymond. We'll talk about the Greek Fest, and anybody that has nothing to do this Saturday should come out to Oakland and go to the Greek Fest. It's a great time. We, of course, last year we had Anna Kakarakis on and Elena Madzorkis, and it's a big old Greek good time. So you guys should come out this Saturday. Before we get to, we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast a little bit more in detail. So who do we root for, Stephen, in this NBA playoffs? You got the Western Conference Finals with the Lakers and the Nuggets. You got the Eastern Conference Finals with the Heat and Celtics. Who, as Warriors fans, should we be rooting for?
Oh, think it's got to be in the Eastern Conference. It's got to be the Heat, and then in the Western Conference, it's got to be the Nuggets. There's no question. I don't even think there's. I do like the Celtics, though. I'm not going
I
to
don't have a
be.
problem with the Celtics.
I don't have an issue with the Celtics. I'm good with seeing them in the finals again. But if you had to make me pick, I'd say we root for the underdogs, root for the Heat, root for the 8th seed to get to the final. That'd be a really cool story. Barely squeaking in through the play-in game. And then from the West, it's obvious, man. You go with the Nuggets. Nuggets all day.
100%. Yeah, I was at the gym today, and some guy came up to me. I was wearing a Warrior shirt, and he was like, "Rough, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And he was like, "Well, who do we root for now?" And I was like, "The Nuggets, obviously." He grew up hating the Lakers, and he's like, "I don't know, man. I think after that, you got to think that you want to see LeBron to win a championship if he just did that to us." And I was like, "God, no. What's wrong with you?" To justify the fact that they kicked our ass.
Trying to find anything to take the sting away. That's fine if they think that does it, but to me that does not do it. I don't want to see him win another ring, and then the whole thing about how Steph didn't beat LeBron, but LeBron could win another championship. That whole situation is gonna play out. D'Angelo Russell winning again too.
No.
The only guy on the Lakers I'd like to see win is maybe Austin Reeves. Anthony Davis, fine, but like maybe Austin Reeves. But other than that,
why Austin Reeves? You do a great impression of him, I guess.
It was a fantastic impression, and I only do impressions of people that I love, Derek. Except for Trump. Whenever I do a Trump, that doesn't mean I love Trump.
You just like him. I get it. By the way, Heat are up 10 on the Celtics, so they may steal game 1 here with 44 seconds left. Yeah, it looks like 120 to 112. Looks like the Heat are going to come away with game 1.
Damn, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. I don't really have a problem with the Celtics, to be honest. I don't think there was any rivalry made last year between the Warriors and the Celtics in the NBA Finals. I know there was stuff with Draymond, but we're not rooting for the Lakers. Fuck that. And I've said before, I think if the Warriors would have beaten the Lakers and gone on to play the Nuggets beat the Warriors. And I would have been fine with that, considering the Warriors have kicked the Nuggets' ass for a while now. The Nuggets lost to the Warriors a year ago in the first round, so it would have been a good story. They got better, they beat the champs, and life goes on. But I still can't live with the fact that the Lakers beat the Warriors, but it is what it is.
Something that I couldn't really stand after that Lakers and Nuggets game was the idea. I get this is maybe unfair of me, and this is probably me speaking through a biased opinion, which I am, but just the idea, well, the Lakers should feel confident after that one. Whew, coming back from a 21-point deficit in the third quarter all the way back in the fourth, yet they still lost the game. They lost by 6. Okay? The Nuggets, I know the Nuggets gave that up in the fourth, and sure, they made the adjustments, the defensive adjustments where the Nuggets didn't seem to know what to do. But in the end, in crunch time, when the Lakers came back and had a couple of chances to maybe tie the game, well, the Nuggets made it a 2-possession game as soon as they made it a 1-possession game. So, I don't know. I get the idea, like, oh, they should feel confident going into game 2. They still lost game 1. And every game's its own entity. Like, it's separate.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's they feel confident with how they ended game 2. Every game, or again ended game 1, every game's different. Every game's different. I don't get that.
I agree with you. I don't think that I mean, like, the Lakers should be, I guess, encouraged a little bit with the way that game ended, going from down 21 to making it a closer game. But
sure,
the more that they play in altitude in Denver, the more I think they're going to get tired. Because usually you got to get, like, I don't know, a week under your belt to actually, like, be comfortable. And the Lakers just got there on Monday, and then they played a game at Tuesday, and they're going to play again tomorrow. So it's going to be rough on their bodies. You saw LeBron after the game kind of like exhale pretty badly. I do think the Lakers could win this series, but I do think the Nuggets are the better team. I think they match up pretty well with both of their bigs, with Jokic and Aaron Gordon versus LeBron and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, I guess Darvin Ham did a great job in the second half putting Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic in the second half. Did not have the same explosiveness they did in the first half, but Anthony Davis did a good job. I don't know if the Nuggets have a really good defense, but it's going to be a good series. But yeah, I'm with you, Steven. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets come out and just totally gas them, because the Lakers were going all out in that game, and they just got tired in the end, I think. Or
Yeah.
the Nuggets did a little bit more. It was an evenly fought game towards the fourth quarter, but I still don't give the Lakers the upper hand. They still lost the game. It would have been more
Yeah.
like, well, the Lakers stole game one. Now
Right.
they have, let's see, every series so far this playoffs, they've won game one, lost game two, then won both of their games in LA, lost game five when they could have eliminated their opponent, and then came back to LA. So really they played well in LA, stolen one game on the road, and then they go from there. But if they lose both games in Denver, we'll see if it's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point with the altitude too. I mean, the Nuggets haven't even lost a home playoff game yet this postseason. But I was also thinking this too. You mentioned Jokic, just with what he did in that game, he's unbelievable. Just these numbers that he racks
23
up,
rebounds,
30-point triple doubles, man, just unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting up those rebounding numbers. But I also think that, or you know what? Maybe I shouldn't think this. Maybe I should be asking the question instead. But
ask away.
Do you think that Jokic not winning the MVP may turn out to be a good thing for the Nuggets? Maybe there's that little, thing in the back of his mind where he's saying, "You should vote of me the MVP. I deserve the 3 straight MVP. Just because Joel Embiid complained to media about not winning MVP, that means I don't win MVP. I should win MVP." So he has something to prove.
I would say that he's got nothing to prove in the fact that he's already won 2 MVPs, and at this point in his career, it should just be like, I want the Finals MVP.
Right. I just think there's a little, little chip on his shoulder right there. Maybe he should have won it, but he's going to prove to people out there, I'm the real MVP.
I mean, Michael Jordan always used that as motivation. Like, I guess in The Last Dance, that last season with the Bulls, Karl Malone won MVP. And maybe it was the year before that. But one year, Karl Malone won MVP, and he was like, oh, okay. It's like, Michael, you've won every goddamn year.
Yeah. I'd like to think Jokic would be like him, too, and making up stories about, like, the opponent and then talking shit. Like, Lonnie Walker said that I did not deserve to be MVP, so I take it to Lonnie Walker the fourth.
Yeah, just like in Seinfeld. You seen the Seinfeld episode where they're all playing the game of Risk? And they're on a subway, and this guy turns around. And they're talking about the game, and Kramer goes like, and he's playing with Newman, and Newman's like, I got soldiers in the Ukraine. The Ukraine is weak. And then this guy turns around and goes, Ukraine is not weak. And he's like, hey, we're talking about a game. And he just punches the board and
brutal.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a fun series between the Nuggets and Lakers. And I wish I could say the same thing about the Heat and Celtics, but I couldn't tell you. I didn't see the game.
Yeah, that sucks, man. By the way, the Cornhole League is completely stopped, too.
Are you serious?
It's just YouTube TV.
Oh, they're having shit show all over the place? Let me see.
Yeah.
The game just ended. Heat won the game, 123 to 116. Let me see if I could go to ESPN and watch these Scott Van Pelt highlights. Oh, no, they're on a 30 for 30 right now. What the hell?
Oh, which 30 for 30?
Good question. Something with the Patriots. I see Willie McGinnis on there. It's probably the 2 Bills. No, it's the Tuck rule. I'm not watching this shit. Anyway. So we're going Nuggets because it's the Nuggets. We won't have a problem with them winning. Lakers, it's just too much.
Agreed.
So when you go Nuggets, I probably have asked this question before on the podcast before, Steven. But I'll ask it again.
Yeah.
When you go Nuggets, which place are you going to? What is your favorite fast food place when it comes to Nuggets?
Good question. McDonald's. McDonald's all the way.
Easily, I think.
Yeah. And it's gross that I like that because I know how they're made.
Why is it gross?
Because you learn how they're made. And even though I know how they're made, I still want them. It's really
because they're delicious.
It's inhumane, but they're lovely. With
of course.
Sour little sweet and sour sauce. Come on, man.
Yeah, and they had that. What was that? They had like a special sauce when they were doing it's from Rick and Morty, but they had some when they were doing like a special thing for Mulan. They gave out some sauce that was incredible with chicken nuggets. Yeah, I don't do Chick-fil-A, but I hear Chick-fil-A nuggets are pretty good. Wendy's
Yeah.
has pretty good nuggets.
Yeah, the ones that aren't good though, I think we can all agree, and they're closing down a bunch of stores. I think Burger King
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I didn't mind Burger King nuggets, but yeah, not a fan.
felt unnatural. The shape of them, it
Yeah,
was like a weird, almost like oval slash hourglass shape. Didn't feel, but the McNuggets were round. They were crispy. They have the breading on the outside of them. Oh, I could go for some McNuggets right now. Give me
yeah,
a 20
no.
piece. Give me a 20 piece. DoorDash.
Do you ever do the Super Bowl special where they give you 50?
No,
No, golden opportunity.
I'm not psychotic.
Well, I am, I guess, when it comes to McNuggets. But yeah, when it comes to nuggets, I go McDonald's and I go Wendy's.
Well, let's be honest. You get the 50 McNuggets because you don't order wings in time.
That's true. I don't plan ahead, and I should. Thank you, Ernie. It was Szechuan sauce. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, shout out to the Ernies showing up on the stream at KMBR for Tolbert and Copes. Thank you,
nice.
guys. And loyal listeners. Thank you, guys. Let's get into it with the Warriors season ending and them doing more media. And Steve Kerr doing his end of the year press conference and basically saying that they want Draymond back. And I don't think they're making it a mystery this offseason of whether or not they want Draymond back. It's going to be a bigger mystery with Bob Myers and Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga. I think Clay's coming back. But as far as Draymond Green, all indications are they want him back. And this is a strong difference in what I thought for most of the season. Going back to last year when the Warriors won the championship, you and I listened to Draymond Green's podcast, and we listened to a podcast with Tim Kawakami and Joe Lacob. And Joe Lacob was saying we got to make some hard decisions. We're gonna try our best to have the team be at its fullest going forward, but we got to make some hard decisions. And Draymond Green said, "I'm up for a contract. Hope I get it, but we'll see." And then we saw Jordan Poole get the contract, and we saw Andrew Wiggins get the contract, and even before that, we saw Draymond Green punch Jordan Poole, and that we thought was going to be the end. Like, regardless of whatever happens, this is the end with Draymond Green. And Draymond Green had a great season. Played well in the playoffs. Had the incident with Sabonis, but that's just what's going to happen sometimes with Draymond Green, as we know. And I guess that's what the Warriors feel at this point, is that you get the good and you get the bad with Draymond, and you just got to live with it. So I thought at 33 years old, they were going to move on from Draymond, who's not primarily a scorer, and is, as I said, aging. But all indications are they want him back. And Steve Kerr even said in the press conference, "We are not a championship caliber team without Draymond Green." So I think that's all you need to say about that.
Yeah, but I will say this about Kerr. He was saying, he was very candid about the punch and everything, very honest about how, that trust was lost, the trust that we've cultivated over the past decade with this team from one generation to the next. All of that kind of went away. That between, it wasn't really specified who the trust was lost with. Was it with just Draymond and Poole? Was it potentially Poole and just the veterans in general? Because, I think a lot of them kind of had Draymond's back in that instance, and maybe not a lot were on Poole's side like he wanted it. But Kerr was saying everything the right way. He was saying everything that a coach should say, like the Kuminga stuff. People are like, "Oh, there's a new revelation about Kuminga. Maybe he does like him." No, he's been talking that way about Kuminga throughout the season. Like, it's nothing new. I don't know what the future for him is. But in regards to Poole and Green, I do want to play this sound, actually. I wanted to play this from the clip that went not really viral, but this is the one where, and I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't watch the Stephen A. Smith World NBA broadcast.
You didn't?
During the Nuggets and Lakers. No, that was not.
You didn't want to see. You didn't want to hear Screamin' A during an NBA playoff game.
That was not appointment television for me.
Steven, God, you're missing out.
But Draymond was on that program, and he was talking about the Poole situation. Now, granted, this is the minute-long clip, so we haven't heard everything with context because context matters. But it seems like Draymond is pretty set that what really impacted the Warriors the most from that Jordan Poole punch was not the fact that he maybe lost the trust of a young player. It's that he didn't feel he could speak to the team, which he does best.
We're not playing right now because when you speak about the fouling, when you speak about all of the slippage that we had as a team on the road, not being able to come together, none of those things happen if that doesn't happen, because the voice that I am and the departments that I lead this team in, there was a ton of slippage due to me sitting back, me not saying anything, me trying to allow that situation to play itself out and giving it time to heal. Well, while you're giving it all of that time, guess what? I would say probably by February, I started to feel like myself again to speak more. But guess what? There was 5 months of a season where slippage has just been occurring. And by February, if that slippage has been going on that long, you are who you are. At that point, you've built those habits. You've built bad habits. That is who you are now. So to try to correct them then, it's like, okay, you may get a little better. We did. We ended up in the second round of the playoffs, but not at a championship level. We're not playing right now because
yeah. So the way that I took it, and again, this is just a minute-long clip. You know, I didn't hear anything before that. He just said the reason we're not in it right now is because of what happened and the fact that there's that slippage. He said he basically couldn't talk for 5 months. Didn't feel like he had his voice till February, and by that time, everyone's kind of set in their ways. But the thing from Draymond that I haven't really heard, and maybe you just gotta search for it. I don't know. There's so much Draymond content now. It's like you can't catch everything, but has he directly just straight up said, look, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I kind of ruined the team. I kind of ruined the season.
Kind of yes, when he did that presser when he came back after he was suspended.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, but yes, but also he did that weird documentary where he was like, you know, I'm not going to be judged for what people think is the worst moment in my life. You know, what I'll say about that is that I think that was a very honest thing to say about very honest thing that Draymond did, was saying that I think I fucked up the season.
Yeah,
and I think that whatever apologies he's done, he's tried to do with Jordan Poole, and I don't know if Jordan Poole has really forgiven him. It seems like every indication that you see with them on the bench is that Jordan Poole wants nothing to do with Draymond Green. But my thought on that is, sometimes teammates just don't like each other, and you got to move forward. And it was not a great act by Draymond Green, by all means. But if they're going to choose between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, you best believe they're choosing Draymond Green. And I think at a certain point, you got to just forgive somebody. I understand it was a bad and terrible thing to do, and it was caught on camera for everybody to see. But at some point, you just got to move on. I've heard many stories of teammates fighting each other, and eventually you just got to forgive. So I think that was kind of big of Draymond to admit that he fucked up the season. And even Steve Kerr, yesterday on Tolbert to Copes and, in the press conference, basically saying, yeah, it did have an impact.
Right.
We were not the same team. And maybe that played a factor in, us on the road, that we weren't unified on the road. Usually when you go on the road, everybody is, a band of brothers, and we're all going against this hostile environment. And they didn't feel that. They all were, kind of angry at Draymond for what he did. So I think that played a role initially. And maybe just their lackadaisical attitude for the whole season played a role too. So, I do think that I'm not here to say that if the punch didn't happen, that they're better on the road or they're, playing in the Western Conference Finals right now. I'm not ready to say all that stuff, but I will say that it did have an impact. So I think that it was kind of big of Draymond to admit that.
Yeah, and this season, I know it's really, really hard, and he didn't deserve any of it, but it was kind of a test for Poole. This is like the season where, I know they gave you the contract extension, but this is the one where it's like, hey, I got to prove my worth here, and I got to prove that I'm going to that I deserve this contract, that it's going to kick in by next season. As opposed to right now, it seems like everyone's kind of looking at that punch, and sure, they're saying it impacted the year, but that also, that also takes away from the fact that Poole was not good in this postseason.
Yeah.
Clay was not good this postseason. That's partially why they didn't make it far, is because they're two guys who are supposed to be the top scorers on the team. They didn't score. They didn't do their job.
Yeah, and I heard also Jordan Poole kind of blame his struggles on a rule change with carrying the ball. And Jordan, you just got to adapt, man. Like, I don't know. It seemed a lot of, just complaining and making excuses. Jordan Poole's got to work on his game, and we'll even see if he's on the roster. I think he will be, but if it's going to be between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, and you got to trade away Jordan Poole, I don't know anybody that wants to take on that contract right now. Maybe some team does, but
I think there's a team out there. I think there's a team out there who feels they can get a rejuvenated Jordan Poole, and I know that contract's a lot. Like, believe me, I understand that. But maybe there's a team out there who has it in their salary cap. They're willing to spend, and they need someone who can primarily be a scorer, someone who could be a 2-guard in their starting 5. I'd have to look that up. Maybe we can do that on the next podcast, where maybe there's like some other teams we can look at who are in need of a shooting guard right now. But, I'm sure there's a team out there. There's always a team out there.
Well, Tim Kawakami brought this up. He believes that the Warriors should deal Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga to the Raptors for Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby.
The Pascal Siakam rumors. They're back, baby. Forgot. It's Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Pascal Siakam. Those are the 3 primary guys. There we go.
Yep.
Who made that one? Was that Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer?
No, I told you, Tim Kawakami.
Oh, Tim Kawakami. Sorry. I wasn't listening. I was trying to change it to TNT.
I'm trying to do the same thing. Apparently, YouTube TV is just totally fucked right now.
Yeah, it is.
I can't get anything now.
Someone says I've watched this Little Mermaid commercial for like the past two goddamn hours.
It's incredible, and we're gonna give all our money to them for Sunday ticket. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm gonna turn this off now. I'm just staring at a blank screen.
Really? Mine's working now.
I tried to put on SportsCenter. It did the spinning wheel forever. It's annoying. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that with Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. Because then you're bringing in more guys. Like, what? So are we just totally abandoning the 2-timeline approach? Steve actually brought that up with us, and he said, when you are terrible in 2019, 2020, you have the opportunity to get, a great player in James Wiseman. You're not really thinking about, his development and whatnot. You just we're in a unique position. And then you're able to get Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, and you're like, we got some great talent on this team. But then when Clay comes back, then you become a championship team again, and you're kind of throwing out development. And it probably wasn't handled the best, but the Warriors wanted to go back to winning again. Kind of like the same thing with Trey Lance. Like they wanted to make the upgrade at QB, but at the same time, it's like, okay, are we going to sacrifice wins for development? It's tough.
Yeah, and also with the Raptors, I'm sorry, but they could get somebody better than Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga for Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby.
Yeah, I don't think it's an even trade.
The Pascal Siakam was an all-star, and OG Anunoby, this dude is one of the better defensive players in the league. Like, he's everything that the Warriors want Jonathan Kuminga to be right now. Like, that's what. So that trade doesn't make much sense, but I don't know. The money works, I guess.
I guess it does. By the way, have you noticed I've done a whole 180 on or I guess 360, whatever you want to degree.
Yeah, it's 180.
Yeah, 180.
If you're going complete opposite, because 360 just means you've spun around in a circle.
That's true. That's true.
So maybe you flipped circles. So maybe you flipped your opinion and then flipped it again.
Came around back to it. I might someday. But have you noticed I've done a 180 on Tim Kawakami?
No.
Oh yeah, back in the day, we used to make fun of him all the time on Papa and Bonte.
Yeah.
And now that he's more open to doing interviews. Like back in the day, he was like, "Oh, I'm not doing local radio," and now Tim's a nice guy. So I've changed my tune.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I think he's blocking people less on Twitter now. So new Tim, new Derek.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to drop it, but I met him at training camp. He's a nice guy.
Of course you are. You just want to get close to anybody.
Dude, I mean, what? I got to stand on the side. I got to show my face. That's what it's all about in media, bro. Show your
That is true.
face. You know what I mean? It's just like no one ever wants to be that one guy who's just like, who's that? Why is he here? Instead of that, I was that guy at training camp this year, but at training camp next year, I'm also going to be the guy that actually wears shorts. Made a mistake wearing jeans one day. Not a good idea.
Ooh,
Not
yeah.
a good idea.
Especially in Santa Clara. Ugh.
It was really funny because my buddy, who's the 49ers fan engagement senior manager, whatever, we were talking,
Whatever his damn title is.
we were talking, and he goes, yeah, man, you could tell who the rookie media people are when they're wearing long pants, either sweats or jeans. And I'm like, you seen what I'm wearing? And then he's like, oh shit. I'm like, well, I am a rookie. You know, it was my first time out. You know who's a full-on veteran? Matt Mayoko. He had the beach hat.
Yes, I commented. I went to training camp. I was wearing shorts, but I saw Matt Mayoko, and I was like, Matt, fantastic, hat. And he was like, yeah, when you've been to training camp 30 times, you learn a thing or two.
Yeah, he's got that great. Cam Inman had the visor. Looked like he's ready to go shoot 18 or shoot a little round right after training camp. Who else? Yeah, I can't really think of anyone else right now. But
yeah, I mean, you're seasoned pro now, Steven. You'll get things right for next year's training camp.
I'm definitely not seasoned, and I'm definitely not a pro. I am.
You're learning.
I am an unseasoned amateur, is what I am.
Well, maybe one day you'll learn. So yeah, like we got a whole few months to figure out everything with the Warriors. I'm feeling better about Draymond. Not that I was feeling bad about it. Like I was worried, like, oh, is Draymond going to come back? I just kind of accepted it.
Yeah.
But
I also think, Derek, I changed my tune on Draymond too. I did a 180, as you said. I kind of did one on him because
I said 360 originally, but
I think you can, like, at least before the season, I think I forgot truly what Draymond's value is. I don't know how. I kind of knew it after the finals, but for some reason I was like, I just forgot. Like, this dude could still play, and I think just really how important he is as far as his voice being there, directing guys, all this sort of stuff. Like, I don't know how I undervalued him. I've always been the Draymond guy on the radio, but for some reason I did after that punch, and I don't know, maybe it made me just look at him differently for a little bit.
Nah, to me it didn't. Like,
right.
I know.
No, you were on his side that whole time.
Well,
not on his side, but you were saying this shit happens in sports. Like, they gotta get past this, and they can get past this.
Yeah, and I just wasn't surprised. Like when when you hear someone punch somebody in Warriors training camp, like, was it Draymond? It was, because it happens. Like, he is the fiery leader, and he loses his temper sometimes, and that's just what happens. But would I want him on my team as opposed to not having on my team? Of course. So if he wasn't going to go to the Lakers, I would have lost my shit. But it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. You wonder the whole thing with his relationship with LeBron, and they kind of already have a guy like Draymond and Jared Vanderbilt who doesn't score and just more of a defensive player. And we'll see if they need to upgrade in the postseason if they can't get past, or the offseason, I should say, and if they can't get past the Nuggets. But I for the most part, I was expecting him to leave. But if he's going to come back, I'm all for it. If Klay Thompson's going to come back, I think they believe that this was just a fluke season, and if they could get back to who they were, that they'll be right in playoff contention again.
Yeah.
Which they were this year. They went to the playoffs, but I mean in title contention. But they got a lot of competition now. We'll see what happens in this Western Conference final. The Spurs just got, Wembanyama.
You already pronounced his name wrong. Attaboy.
How do you say it?
It's Wembanyama.
Wembanyama?
Yama.
like
Wembenyama.
yeah, I got you. Like a Hama Yama, like a what's that lawn equipment? Yama? Isn't there a I don't
I'm
know.
not the
Anyway,
right person to be asking this
I know.
question.
You don't seem like you do manual labor. Um
Hey, bro, I used to, okay, when I actually had a lawn.
and
Yeah.
you know, a working arm.
That's true. Well,
Yeah.
my arm is working now. That's why I was able to find the
Oh, that was the
little
reason you couldn't find it.
the microphone filter. Well, yeah, dude. I didn't want to, I didn't want to use my arm up too much, but now it's feeling better. Not going to get back out on the softball field anytime soon.
No, I would advise against that.
Mm-hmm.
Wembenyama.
Yeah.
And by the way, I love that Brian Windhorst was sent all the way to France for a 70-second interview. It's got to be worth it.
Hey, man, he's going to France.
Yeah, I'm sure he had a good time. Had a escargot.
You're gonna make me so angry if you do any more of that.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Greg Popovich will not retire anytime soon, with him being the number 1 pick in the draft, going to San Antonio Spurs. I haven't seen him play at all. I actually need to watch clips of him, but everything I've seen is that he's 7 feet tall and he shoots threes and he's incredible.
No, he could do everything. He's basically Kevin Durant but taller. Like that's what he is. Maybe I don't know. They have the same skill set. Like that's what I took away from this. Everyone was today, and I'm glad we talked about this today. The argument was about the whole idea that he's the greatest prospect since LeBron James. And that's the only clip I saw from Draymond on his podcast. Draymond said, people forget that about just who LeBron was coming up out of high school, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, people didn't forget. People just moved on because we've been hearing about LeBron for the past 20 years. It's not like nobody forgot. It's just like, why would that be a talking point about him being the best prospect that the NBA had since Michael Jordan or whatever? Because people have moved on. It's not like people forgot. Like people say that in sports all the time. People forget this. People forget that. No one's forgotten. They just moved on because it's been talked about so much, and that's way in the past. It's okay to think that Wembenyama. It's okay to get excited about a guy like Wembenyama and saying he might be the greatest prospect in decades, without having it diminish LeBron James. But anyway, I like to think that I think it's totally fair to say that he might be the most unique prospect they've had. Like I
in the NBA ever?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
No, that's totally fair. But I kind of agree in the sense that you don't have to forget things, but also I think we have a short-term memory problem a long-term memory problem in sports where we just react to we're prisoners of the moment. And I saw Woj before the draft or the lottery say Wembenyama might be the greatest prospect in the history of sports. That's a little much.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's way too much. But I don't think the argument should be that. I think we should also be talking about just how great, for one, Kevin Durant was when he was coming out of the draft. Like a dude like that who's
UT.
Sick. I mean, I know he's not listed at 7'3" like Wembenyama is, but out of UT, man, he's super tall, can do everything. One of the greatest scorers that we've ever seen. I just think that how we view Kevin Durant now, or how most people view Kevin Durant now, I think people have forgotten just how special of a player and how unique of a player he is for his type of skill set. Like, I don't know, but just all the talk about LeBron today, it was just
well, that
we know, like we knew what he was. Like I remember, like one of my weirdest memories. I don't know why I remember this, but I remember going to Sports Authority to pick up like some, like I don't know, it was like a glove or something for Little League baseball.
Some Yamaha, outdoor equipment.
Dude, the Wembenyamas are going to be some sick shoes whenever they come out.
They're going to be huge.
They're going to be massive.
You got those in a size 30?
Yeah. They're only size 16 and up. But I remember going to Sports Authority and seeing on a Sports Illustrated cover, LeBron. Like, I think the Grant Wall was actually the one who did the
late Grant Wall. Yep.
Yeah. Like I remember seeing that.
I'll say it, murdered in World Cup this year.
But like people didn't forget. I just think we've kind of moved on from LeBron and his prospect days, considering to where he's at now. Like, who cares how highly touted he was? The point is, we're focusing on this young 19-year-old who could potentially be the next LeBron.
And yeah, of course, you could separate the two, but I think, as Ernie is saying in the chat, Draymond's just always going to defend LeBron, which is kind of annoying now. And I saw Bill Simmons talk about it on his podcast with Ryan Russillo, and it was a little much. Like, I heard Ryan Russillo say, like, Draymond was practically making out with LeBron. Okay. But it's a little much. It's a little much these days of how much he loves LeBron. There used to be some friendly, animosity towards the two, but now it's like, has LeBron James just, got so much favor now with Draymond Green and Rich Paul, being his agent, that we all assume that Draymond will want to go to the Lakers now? I mean, the perfect place for him to go would be the Kings. But I don't think they can afford him.
The more we're talking about it, the more I kind of think, kind of genius by LeBron. Hey, I'm going to charm this one guy who gets under my skin, and I'm going to charm him to death.
Yeah,
and we are going to be best friends. And you know what? I'm going to get who once was probably the number one enemy to me. I'm going to get him on my side, because I know in the future, eventually, we're going to face each other again. And when we do on the court, what's going to happen is what happened in the first 4 games of that series, where Draymond just did not have that dog in him. Was it the first 4 games or first?
I would say the first 4 games. Draymond didn't really come out until Game 5.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of like you've seen the OJ Made in America documentary, right?
Correct.
The woman that's doing an article on him at one point goes, "You read all these terrible things that OJ has done, but yet you are charmed by him so much. You got OJ'd. It's the OJ effect. You got LeBron." And not to compare LeBron to OJ, but you get the idea.
See, this is what you get on Just Your Opinion, man. I haven't heard anyone talk about that.
Compare LeBron James to OJ Simpson.
Well, I wasn't going that far. That was you, but just saying, LeBron
not directly, just the charming personality.
No, there might be the similarities, except the double murder thing. LeBron actually seems like a really, really good guy. Who seems like to be a really good father. Everything I'm hearing, like from the reading from the USC coach, it makes me like LeBron even more. But I'm also saying, kind of genius that he used that charm that he has. Not the.
Yeah, maybe it was a bad comparison. Like,
you ruined the take, Derek.
Have you seen the latest Ted Lasso where he's talking about the Denver Broncos? He's like, yeah, maybe it was a bad comparison there.
Yeah. Did you just compare? I don't know. Yeah. That was really my favorite. What the fuck are the Denver Broncos?
It's a very well done scene. So yeah, we'll see what happens this Warriors off season. I feel like we've kind of, every radio station is kind of talking it into the ground, but it's going to be the talk of the summer. The bigger thing is going to be Bob Myers in 2 weeks, and everything that I've been reading is it's leaning towards Bob not coming back, which sucks. But we'll see what happens. I think this all goes smoothly if Bob comes back. If Bob does not come back, not to say that Mike Dunleavy can't do the job, but it's just different. Bob has been so integral in this whole thing that if he left, then you wonder about Steve Kerr, who we haven't even talked about. His contract is up after next season. So does Steve want to be around? And then you look at all these coaches that have been fired. Monty Williams got fired. You and I were hanging out on Saturday, and we were both shocked by that. Doc Rivers gets fired after Game 7. Not as shocking, but still a championship-winning coach. Mike Budenholzer, Nick Nurse. 4 guys that have either been to the NBA Finals or won a championship, all fired this offseason. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Steve Kerr anytime soon, but it just goes to show that life in the NBA is so short that I think the only guys that are truly safe are Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, Eric Spoelstra. I would say Michael Malone, but if the Nuggets lose this Western Conference Final, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets made a change.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, surprised, but like the way things are going now, like I thought Monty Williams was going to come back. He's the reason why Kevin Durant wanted to go to Phoenix.
Yeah, that one was shocking, especially because like you didn't even give him a chance. You didn't even give him a chance with KD and Booker. Like, sure, they underperformed and didn't make it past the Western Conference semis, but Like you could
Only
give him
like
an
15
offseason.
games.
You could give him an offseason to build the team with a healthy Kevin Durant, and maybe I don't know, just give him some time. But
I
yeah,
think it's their
that was a lot.
I think it's their flashy owner. Like Matt Ishbia, he wants to be, grabbing balls from Nikola Jokic on the court, and
Whoa.
it's his coach. You know what I mean, basketballs. And he, the Suns get blown out at home in back-to-back years, so not great. I would have made that move, but they got to upgrade. You got to show me you're going to upgrade. Like Davante Adams.
Yeah. Well, I do want to get to that because
I think you and I are going to argue on this one.
We might,
but we'll get to that real quick. two NBA topics. We didn't mention this in the last podcast because we're kind of recapping the Warriors run and everything, and not to say it's going to end or anything, but just it was different. The way that ended the season. Andre Iguodala's career is over. Something that kind of, I know we shrugged, but we kind of forgot about him. He didn't really play this season. Kind of an afterthought. The expectation was he was going to come back for the Western Conference Finals and never came back. So, his career's over, and it wasn't really like a whole lot to do with it. But Andre Iguodala was pretty big for the whole playoff run. And of course, he won Finals MVP coming off the bench. He swallowed his ego and became a bench player when Steve Kerr got there. So when I remember Andre Iguodala's career, he played with a ton of teams, and maybe some people remember him more of his Philadelphia 76er career when he was really Andre Iguodala. But I'll remember him being the smart, savvy vet with the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, that's easily how I'm going to remember him. I'm not going to remember him as, kind of the guy who was meant to be, I don't know, really not, I guess, the heir apparent to Allen Iverson over there in Philadelphia. But even when he was on the team and people were, struggling to understand why he's taking up a roster spot, and why he didn't sign up as a coach. Well, he wasn't going to coach. He was going to retire.
He wants to play golf and do his podcast.
He was going to retire, and it just so happened that Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, all those guys convinced him last second to sign a 1-year deal. So sure, he was taking up a roster spot. I don't know who could have been added there. But without Andre, who knows if the Warriors would have even made it to the second round? Who knows if they would have been in that much, who knows if they would have gotten to that point where they had a chance to be the 6th seed in the Western Conference, because he was constantly coaching on the bench.
Yeah.
He did play some sort of role. It wasn't just he's just there. He was the Udonis Haslem of this team.
Yeah.
And they needed that. So yeah, shout out to Andre, man. There were times when, there was a lot of, I'm kind of smarter than you, like that kind of mentality. Yeah. There was a little bit of that towards the end, but which can rub people the wrong way. But in the end, he is kind of smarter than we are as far as basketball goes.
Well,
how things work.
I'll never forget. Do you remember the awkward thing with my dad and Kevin Durant going to Warriors practice where he bet if the Raiders beat the then Washington Redskins that he would come to practice and do push-ups for everybody?
Yeah, I remember that.
So we did. So we went to practice. He comes out, he sings "Hail to the Redskins," which just sounds terrible now. It was a song. It was the fight song back then. But the whole team, and even Steve Kerr's like, "What the hell's Greg Papa doing here?" So it was kind of a setup move by Raymond Ritter, actually. But I loved it because I love good pranks. And all of them are like, what the hell's going on here? And he tells them the situation, everything. And Andre Iguodala goes, so wait a minute. The bet was that if the Raiders beat the Washington football team, you were going to give a Kevin Durant jersey? And the other way around was you were going to give Kevin Durant a Derek Carr jersey? My dad's like, yeah. And Andre Iguodala was like, you serious? That's a good bet? That's a good comparison? My man's a Hall of Famer. What's Derek Carr going to be?
Good point.
Yeah.
That's good football knowledge.
Andre Iguodala knows his shit. And I'll never forget, this is one of my favorite moments of Andre Iguodala, is Whitley Sandretto, our friend, on the red carpet with him, doing an office joke, the updog joke.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, does it smell like updog in here? And then Andre goes, it's probably you.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, she got caught in one of her dad jokes. It happens. You can't win them all, Whitley. But I love that. Yeah, the thing with Andre too is a weird memory, but just how much my mom loved him. My mom loved Andre.
For the arms, right?
She was huge with Andre in the arms, but she also
He's got nice biceps.
she was on the air. She was talking wingspan, bro. She was like, he just uses that wingspan and length and somehow just plays this defense. I always remember that. It's like, if I ever meet Andre, plus I read his book. It's a really good book too. A lot of respect for him growing up and all that, and how he came to be who he is today. Like, yeah, that sometimes he could sound a bit arrogant, but he's kind of earned it. You know what I mean? Like, it's earned arrogance.
Well, I remember him being goofy too. Like, remember when Draymond and Kevin Durant got into their fight and everyone went to Andre and he was like, man, it's like an old pimp told me one time. Sometimes the road is going to be gravelly. It ain't always going to be smooth. Everybody's like, what the hell is he saying?
Oh, it's so good.
But good times with Andre. Unfortunately, not good times for John Morant. We thought the whole thing of him missing 8 games and talking to Adam Silver, and he's never going to go to a strip club again and go Instagram Live and show himself holding a gun or a noisy cricket. And sure enough, Sunday morning, we see him doing it again. And if it's a quick video, but it's there. He's holding a gun. And I don't know what you do. I don't know what punishment is sufficient enough, because you figured he would get it the first time. And I saw JJ Redick this morning, and I do have a lot of respect for JJ Redick, and I do wonder about him as a head coach. I wouldn't take him over any of the available head coaches this offseason. There's so many good coaches that it kind of feel weird if JJ Redick got an opportunity over them. But this morning he talked about how John Morant is being made an example of at 23 years old, and he didn't do anything illegal, and he compared it to like Greg Abbott, posing in family portraits with guns.
Right.
And while that all may be true, but also like it's different, man. Like when you're in the NBA, I saw Charles Barkley say, like, this is one of the few times I agree with Charles Barkley over JJ Redick. When you're in the NBA, you got to realize that you are going to be a idol to kids, and you're going to be like, it's funny because Charles Barkley told kids, I'm not a role model, but he kind of flipped on that. This is important. Like, it's more of a glorification of being a gangster or, having fun with guns. And now I'm seeing like, it's a weird thing with social media now. Like I see kids on TikTok running into people's houses. Like that's like a fun thing to do now. Anyway, I saw Adam Silver before the lottery, and he said that, this is shocking to me, and I hope I'm expecting the worst. And I don't know what that means for John Morant in his career. Like, is it 50 game suspension enough? I don't know.
So the JJ Redick thing,
you saw that too?
Yeah, well, and that was in response to Chris Russo saying that he should get, I think, a 40-game ban or something like that. I think it was 40 games is what Chris Russo was talking
that's
about.
A little excessive, but yeah.
And I appreciate JJ Redick's stance on this because I hadn't heard that opinion before, and comparing it to what's kind of going on outside of the NBA and really putting that into perspective. I did appreciate that, but at the same time, I think that what he brought up at the beginning is just like, I understand that Ja's got this responsibility that he's got to be this type of player, blah, blah, blah. All these things he says he understands and prefaces it. Well, there you go. Like,
yeah,
that's the reason why he asked the question, why he's being made an example out of, because of those things that he prefaced his take with.
Yeah.
So like, I appreciate what he was trying to say, because I do agree that there's a double standard. And, I did bring up and this might be wrong on my part, but I also said, you got guys who play in the NFL and Major League Baseball, white dudes who, glorify trophy hunting, like killing, going out and doing all that, which there's no real true issue with it. But at the same time, like, they're using guns. Like, what's the Like they're using them and showing that they're killing animals with them. You know what I mean? And no, it might not be the same thing. But I do think that there's other ways to look at this. But with Ja, the dude's making $200 million. Like, and he still did it again. Do I think less of Ja after this? I don't think less of him as a person. He seems like a good dude, to be honest. He does.
Well, that's the complicated thing is everything you read about him and everything that you see in interviews, he seems like a very intelligent guy.
Right.
Not to say that like people can't do that, but
and I do think he can come back from this. He's 23 years old. 23 like when I was 23, man, I don't even know what decisions I was making. When I was 23, I was worried about what I was going to do at the next Coachella. How am I going to get there? What are the plans?
Do you love your concerts?
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was worried about when I was 23 years old. So I'm not going to sit here and chastise him and say, he needs to be out of the league. I just think, I do think though that, I do think that he needs to have other friends who can put things into perspective for him though.
Yeah.
Because whoever that was putting him on Instagram Live, like, you got to show off that you're hanging out with Ja in a car listening to NBA Youngboy, like, why? You know what I mean? But that's also the younger generation. They love to post stuff. It's you got to show off on social media. So it's also about finding new people to surround yourself with, which I think he can.
Yeah, and I think it's it's a societal issue with showing I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and like you said, he is young. He's 23 years old, and as we all know, you're going to be 30. I'm in my 30s. We all grow and mature, and we look back on things and go, God, I was such an idiot for doing that shit.
Right.
And he'll realize that as he gets older. As far as the comparison to, trophy hunting and everything, I hear you, Stephen, but I think it's also the fact that, even though I'm not a fan of that stuff either, there is just something about glorifying a gun that could kill you.
Totally. And I get that. I was probably wrong originally for making that comparison. Good God. The hell? Did my upstairs neighbors just get 2 10-inch subwoofers all of a sudden? What the hell is happening? Sorry. I just got all this distraction going on above me.
Can't even hear anything. Are they blasting the mask again?
No, they're not. They're not blasting the mask.
Dumb and Dumber?
No, nothing
Truman
like that.
Show?
They've been a little quieter. No. Not eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. Not the number 23. No, none of those other ones.
I haven't seen number 23.
Oh, hey, whoa. All right. From Shams Sharania, sources: Warriors and president of basketball operations Bob Myers have had no substantial contract extension talks in months, and the sides are bracing for the likelihood that Myers could walk away from the franchise. So,
wow.
There you go. So it's looking more and more like that's going to happen. But I'm also going to say this. These are the types of reports that are going to come out. Mark Stein already came out with a Substack on it. And now Shams, they're essentially saying the same thing. But I'm going to continue in saying that Bob Myers has done enough to the point where I'll be okay with him leaving as long as it's his decision and solely his. If this is a money issue, and let's just say he goes somewhere else to become a GM, and you could have retained him, that's when I'll have an issue with it. That's when I will question, well, what happened? But if this is just a situation where he's done, just wants to ride off and do his own thing, can't knock him for that.
I think that most likely would be the case, but I can't say. I don't know. Maybe he does go to a different team. I do believe that he was close to becoming the Lakers GM before Rob Pelinka, and then just couldn't leave this Warriors situation.
I think I actually am reading this more, Derek. This might seem more like a
final thing.
Well, not a final thing, but more like a money issue.
Oh, really?
Both sides exchanged offers and counteroffers several months ago, and there has since been no traction on a new deal. The Warriors have not yet presented an offer that has blown Myers away, but there's also a growing sense that even a competitive market offer near the top of the executive food chain may not keep Myers with the franchise that he joined in 2012. So, you know what? Actually, never. There you go. So they tried working it out with money, but even whatever they want to pay him, even like a top executive, that's not going to be enough to keep him around. So it sounds like it's his decision.
I'll say this too. It could be very difficult working in the Warriors organization. I think that you have so many expectations. You have a championship roster. You got to keep everybody. And let's face it, Joe Lacob is a demanding owner. So, he's done great things. He's turned this franchise around. He's made them more profitable and just a totally different look on the franchise. But also, Joe Lacob has expectations, and you've seen it in the past with coaches and GMs not getting along, or coaches and owners not getting along. Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. It could be that Bob is tired. I think that could be the case as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot, especially with everything he had to deal with at the end of this year too. Man, and kind of reading more into this article. You know what though? Like once this decision is made, it is going to be interesting who is going to make the decisions. Who does this core three trust enough to where they'll be taking orders from them, or at least getting in negotiations with them, like contract talks and everything. Like is Clay with this new GM or whatever it is? I mean, if it's Bob Myers too, is he going to take a pay cut to receive a new contract? Like Draymond Green, what's his deal going to look like in negotiations? So I think that's all in the question. But yeah, none of it gets started until this Myers decision is made.
Well, yeah, that's the latest from Shams Charania. It looks like Bob Myers is leaning towards leaving the Warriors, or that's the expectation, at least from the Warriors standpoint. Things could change. Hopefully, if it's a money situation, they pay him. If it's not, I think it's just Bob wanting to spread his wings and do something else.
As he should.
Yeah, I mean, he's good on the radio. He's got his own podcast now, so we'll see what happens with Bob Myers. This will be a long... Well, not as long as the other situations with Draymond Green or Jonathan Kuminga or Jordan Poole, but this could get wrapped up in a couple weeks here because they got to figure out the draft. Apparently, Bob Myers did not show up to a league meeting. Mike Dunleavy filled in, so we'll see what happens. Let's get to this Davante Adams thing. Another situation that could go wrong. I'm surprised it took us this long to get to it. Usually we're a football podcast, and then we go more basketball these days, but yeah, so when Davante Adams went to the Raiders, we all were expecting him to, he did a great job. He was an all-pro and everything, and the reason he went to the Raiders was because he wanted a new deal, and he wanted to, I guess have some stability in the quarterback situation as opposed to Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers every year. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? And then, playing with a guy who he knew was going to be there in Derek Carr, his old college teammate. Not the case. After one season, Derek Carr was gone from the Raiders, and that's all that Josh McDaniels needed to see and everything. So, from everything we read and, saw with Davante Adams, it sounded like he was not happy about the Derek Carr situation, but also just something that was a possibility given his contract situation. And he lobbied for Aaron Rodgers to be the replacement, and I think he was looking for a significant upgrade when it came to, moving on from Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jimmy Garoppolo signed, my first reaction was Davante Adams is not going to like that. And he tweeted out something that day along the lines of, "Don't ask me about this shit. I don't want to talk." And we all thought it was related to that. How could it not be? And then we read this article in The Ringer, a very good article that initially is about him wanting to prove that he doesn't need Aaron Rodgers to have an all-pro season. And then it goes into what he feels about the Raiders right now with Jimmy Garoppolo and everything. And I'll read this right now. So initially he says this about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a really cool dude. Talking to him, I really haven't been around him enough to truly know what type of leader he is. I've only heard good things from his teammates. Though, God, I can't read sometimes. I've only heard good things from his teammates, though, so that's a good thing because it's guys that I know I wouldn't mess around with stuff like that. God, I'm terrible at reading. Anyway, then it says Adams has reservations about the Raiders' vision for the offense. The front office thinks that this is the best bet for us right now to put us in a position to be urgent. We don't see eye to eye on what we think is best for us right now. Then he goes on to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, and he says this: "It's all about, it all depends on the style of play. God, it all depends on the style of ball that we play." This is like me reading in class again. It all depends on the style of ball that we play.
He only said that once, by the way, everyone. He only said that once, not 3 times.
If we play a certain brand of ball, I can get Garoppolo to conform to whatever. But if we use him a certain type of way, that's going to make it tough for us to maximize who we should be this season. My goal is to win a Super Bowl with this team, and that's all. And that's why I didn't come. That's why I didn't come here to just be cute with Derek. It's sometimes hard to read this shit. And it's really hard, and I have a shot and change the organization. Okay, whatever. All right. So the point is, oh, you had this up the whole time? God damn it, Steven. I didn't even see this.
I mean, what do you think? You think you got that across so smoothly that people are going to understand that directly? Good Lord, I got to give him some sort of script here.
Basically, Davante Adams is saying that he's not particularly happy with the decision with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's not on the same page with the front office. Am I surprised by any of this? No. Should he be saying this to a reporter? I don't know. I don't know, Steven. You and I were texting about it yesterday. You think that this needed to be said by Davante, or you agree with Davante, and you think that it's on the Raiders for fucking this whole thing up?
Yeah. I like this, to be honest with you, because I also think this is a conversation they might have had in-house. I don't think this is him going behind the organization's back. I think he's probably let his true feelings known about how he feels with this whole situation. And it's okay to not see eye to eye. And I like that he is upping the pressure on the Raiders to win because he is their best player. And he did enough for me last year, an all-pro season, where it's like, oh, okay, he's not just coming here just to mess around. He's really here to be the best, and he can be the best too. I personally love how honest and kind of direct that he was. Is it great for the team? Probably not what you want to hear, especially coming in as a younger guy. Like one of the leaders doesn't believe in the vision right now. But at the same time, you said yourself, you didn't see the vision when you even heard them, signing Garoppolo. And even though they had a, decent draft, they still didn't get a future franchise quarterback. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there's no plan after Jimmy Garoppolo. What if it doesn't work out this year? What if he's just a different QB? Or what if he thrives? That's the other thing too. Like, I think Jimmy Garoppolo has a lot to prove with the Raiders this year. I think with the Niners, he had proven he can run that system. It was just a question of the wide receivers and running backs buying in, and they all did. And that offense was damn good, even with Garoppolo under center. I know Brock Purdy led him to a championship, and everyone's kind of saying, look at what imagine what Trey Lance can do with McCaffrey. Well, imagine what Garoppolo could have done with McCaffrey potentially there. I'm not saying that he's a better quarterback than Purdy or anything like that, because Purdy was making more improvised plays, but Garoppolo was having a pretty damn good season himself before he got hurt.
Yeah.
I just like that he's calling out the team, because we can all see it. It's like the moves that they're making right now, trying to create this, this new New England Patriots. It's leading to maybe an 8-9 season. like,
yeah.
That's what his point is worse. And what can be worse, Derek, than being a middle of the road team. Nothing can be worse than that.
No, I mean, it's frustrating considering the expectations they had a year ago with Derek Carr, with
Yeah.
Davante Adams, with Darren Waller, with Hunter Renfrow. And it seems like most of those guys are already, two of them are already gone. And it sounds
Right.
like Hunter Renfrow is going to be gone too. Our guy, Hondo Carpenter, who wrote that great article about Derek Carr's future, wrote about Hunter Renfrow. And it sounds like they're going to move on eventually.
Right.
Whether it's going to be training camp at the beginning of the season, it sounds like Hunter Renfrow will not be on the Raiders, which is kind of, we're doing a John Gruden, 2.0 thing where we're just can't win with the guys that are already there, and now we're going to rebuild the whole thing. And the only guy that remains is going to be Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams. And we'll see if they sign Josh Jacobs. So I get what Davante Adams is saying, but he also went on Instagram, whatever thing, and tweeted out a picture of him and Dave Ziegler, and he said, "My guy."
Yeah.
So I think he's just kind of like, what are we doing here? I don't really know how this is going to look. I think he's thinking the same thing I am, where this is going to be a short, intermediate passing game. It's not going to be the passing game that he's accustomed to with 20-yard passes down the field or even 40-yard passes down the field with him getting the long ball. And that's going to frustrate him. It seems like it's going to be a very dink and dunk New England type of offense. But also, Josh McDaniels did have Randy Moss, but he also had Tom Brady with him. That's the thing is, who's the best receiver that Jimmy Garoppolo has ever thrown to? George Kittle? As far as receiver, Debo, but Debo's not a deep threat.
As far as wide receiver, the best pure receiver would probably be Ayuk. Yeah.
So he doesn't have a lot of, history of throwing to, deep threats.
Right.
So I could see Davante Adams getting upset, and I'm sure he is upset because, in my opinion, in his opinion, this is not an upgrade. This is kind of a,
lateral.
Yeah, it's a lateral move going
Right.
from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
So I understand.
Sounds like you agree with me, Derek.
I do agree with you, but also I don't know if he should be voicing this.
Right.
That's the part where I'm like, ugh, because it just shows a little bit of him. And what I'm worried about is that this is another situation like Randy Moss, like Antonio Brown, where the Raiders get a fantastic all-pro receiver and they can't hang on to him because they pissed him off too much.
But I don't think Davante Adams is a kind of character guy like Randy Moss, like Antonio Brown. And I'm actually not comparing Randy Moss and Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, much worse. But at that stage and at those
stages, not a bad comparison tonight.
At that stage in their career, though, Antonio Brown was volatile, whatever it is, however you pronounce it. Like, so whatever there. And Randy Moss, like, okay, like the Davante may not be happy with this team, but that team that Randy Moss went to was much worse than the Raiders team that's put together now. So I don't think it's going to end up like that. I just think it is going to take a lot of convincing, though. It is going to take a lot of convincing from the team and all that. And I'll say this, too, something you didn't mention at the top when he talks about reasons that he joined the Raiders was also that he could be closer to family. Yeah. Now he can go home after losses, eat his favorite mom's meatloaf, whatever. Go golfing.
Meatloaf.
And that his time has run its course in Green Bay. But, the thing is, there's closer teams to East Palo Alto than, Vegas. If I'm another team, if I'm the Chargers or something, I'm looking at that. I'm like, hey, you come down to San Diego where it's warm all year round. Sure, the fans aren't really the same, but you get a quarterback like Justin.
San Diego anymore, Steven.
Or excuse me, LA. You get Justin Herbert, who can give you the deep ball. You got a pretty good defense here. And you're close to home.
Hold on. You think the Raiders are just going to let Davante Adams go to the Chargers?
Yeah.
What do you mean,
Well, if he grows frustrated, I don't know.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves in all of sports.
You're doing a Ryan Rehnhorst type thing right now. Biggest pet peeve. Anyway, continue.
No, that's him. You're like, now why would I go on that flight to France just to interview a guy for 70 seconds? Why would I do that? My thing is when people say like, oh, just trade him to someone in your division. No, that's bad for business. Why the hell would I do that?
Okay. Well, what about San Francisco?
Again, there's the whole Raiders-Niners thing, and I don't think they're ever going to engage in a trade.
I don't know.
Here's the bigger thing that Ernie 2 is bringing up. You think Adams could be traded? If he's frustrated, yeah, I do. I think this is a thing since they acquired him. Was like, this is too good to be true. How are the Raiders going to fuck this up? And it sounds like they already are. So I can see him being frustrated. I can see the Raiders going 8-9, like you said. And that's the way I kind of see it this year. Like, they look okay, but we'll see when it happens. But compared to the other teams in that division, they're not even close. Even the Broncos with, Sean Payton coming aboard. And he had a great quote today. Did you see what he said about Ben DiNucci?
Yeah. The Walmart thing.
Yeah, he said Ben DiNucci threw a pick six right in front of the owner who owns Walmart. And he goes, well, if it doesn't pan out here, you can always be a greeter at Walmart. It's like, damn, Sean. Jesus.
It's just ruthless on DiNucci.
That is ruthless.
But also, like, I'll say this too. They have not, and this is why they're going to go 9-8, 8-9. They have not shored up that defense. Like, okay, they got, Tyree Wilson. That's fine. I keep on wanting to call him Tyrese Gibson so bad. They got Max Crosby
from Fast and Furious.
Yeah, they got Max Crosby, so they got sort of a pass rush going on. At least that's what it seems like. But as far as I remember, they still are not strong at linebacker. Divine Diablo, Luke Masterson. I think those are your starters right now. Cornerback, I don't know. They got a guy named Duke Shelley. I don't know much about him. Marcus Peters is visiting the team.
I think that could happen considering Marcus Peters, growing up in Oakland and being a Raider guy.
Yeah. So I could see that happening, although it feels like it's a little too late for that, Like it feels like the kind of time has run its course with Peters in his prime, when they could have really had him.
No, it would be more of a veteran move of, like him
right,
kind of helping out the defense.
For
but
sure.
No, he's not the same cornerback he used to be.
But like the defense is just going to be kind of similar than it was last year. One of the worst in the league. And the offensive line, still not much has changed there. Tight end, we'll see what happens with that second rounder. Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame.
The Crimson Chin.
Obviously they signed OJ Howard, the Crimson Chin. Obviously they signed OJ Howard and Austin Hooper and all that. So the offense is going to be all right. It's just, to me, it looks like a 9-8 team, one that's not going to be competitive with the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, even the Jets, the Dolphins, everyone in the AFC.
God, you sound like that guy on I was watching it today. They were talking about this on Good Morning Football. And Mark Kessler, who does like the Around the NFL
Mark
podcast.
Sessler.
He I should know that for working at NFL Network. He literally went through all the AFC teams and he's like, they're not better than this team. They're not better than that team. They're not better than this team. They're not better than that team. And it was like, he's right. They're not.
Yeah.
Like compared to all of the playoff teams, the AFC and their own division, it might be a long year. And that's what I worry about with Davante Adams, where he's just like, shit, I went to this team, I got paid, but I'm not winning. Like, I came here to play with my guy, and he's not here, and you guys didn't upgrade the quarterback position, so what are we doing? We're just waiting around for another quarterback next season in the draft?
Well, that's the thing, is it's a weird situation where I'm way more for the player, advocating for the player as opposed to the team, because normally it's just like fans are going to be like, well, you don't respect the team, you're not a team guy, but I say that this is the best receiver that you've had since Tim Brown, and you're not doing everything that you can to keep him happy. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. And if he feels the need to where he says he requests a trade, doesn't want to be with the team anymore because of the direction that they're headed and all this sort of stuff, I'll back him up, because that's an all-pro wide receiver that you have, one of the best in the NFL. Like, I don't blame you for wanting to leave a very mediocre team.
No, I get that. It's
you know what I mean?
That, no. I totally understand what you're saying. And it's kind of a different tone than when you and I were texting yesterday. You were like, they don't deserve to have him. Well,
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't deserve him. I love being dramatic like that.
They do, but they're not treating him well right now. Like, I thought this was going to be a lot different, and it sounds like Josh McDaniels is going to go the route of John Gruden and just be like, well, this is the way I'm doing my team. And if you don't like it, then tough shit. But it doesn't, I don't know, it's not really adding up. Like, I don't know. I hope that they have better success this season, and I hope that Davante Adams stays happy. But I could see him being really frustrated. I can already envision in my mind right now of Jimmy Garoppolo missing Davante Adams in a deep throw. Then they go to the sideline. It's the two of them arguing. I could see it already.
Right. Yeah. It could be ugly, or you never know. Could be different. The NFL season's an interesting thing, my friend. Because I mean, after all, sorry, I've got to bring this up, but you thought the Raiders were going to go 13-4 this year.
I did.
So,
I did.
It's you never know what can happen in the NFL.
But you know what? A lot of people thought a lot of teams were going to be better than last season.
This is very true.
And they all were shitty, including the Indianapolis Colts. They traded for Matt Ryan. I know, Steven, you're wondering, like, why am I bringing this up? Well, there's a segue. Indianapolis Colts tried to trade for Matt Ryan, and we thought that was going to be a big move. I thought that was going to be a huge move, and it did not pan out. Matt Ryan looked terrible, and he got released from the Colts this season. And I thought he was going to go to TV, and sure enough, he's going into TV. He's going to be on CBS as an analyst. And the part that in the announcement that I thought was ridiculous was at the end he says, P.S. I'm not retiring. Matt, once you get into TV, it's kind of done. You can't just go into broadcasting this season and be like, all right, I'm going back to playing. You're not Jason Witten. You're a quarterback. You look slow. Enjoy the football TV career now.
Why do you pronounce the T's in his name?
Oh, my God. What do you want to call him? Mad? Mad Ryan. Steven, I'm tired. I can't read, apparently.
I'm sorry. I was getting past the joke until you said Jason Witten, and then you opened it right up.
Witten.
It's Witten. Jason Witten or Witten. Not
Witten.
Witten. Witten.
What did I say? Witten?
You said Witten.
Oh my God.
Jason Witten. But you also need to
add. This is why you're the more of the seasoned pro than I am.
You also got to add, though, Matt Ryan at the end. This is not a retirement post. And then he gave one of these emojis.
No.
It's not a retirement post.
Sure, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Like, you're done, Matt. You're done. Like, it's okay.
I think he's going to be great on TV.
Yeah. No, I think he'll be fantastic as an analyst. I mean, look, man, these quarterbacks, quarterbacks and offensive linemen, those are the two guys I think that can help the most. I do like having guys like in the secondary, though. I do. You know what? I just like having former players in general. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but like if I had, like to rank my favorite positions to analyze the game, I do like quarterbacks. I do like linemen. And then I do like guys in the secondary. I think all those guys can break down the game better than anyone.
No, I agree. And I think he's going to be good. And yeah, he needs to accept the fact that this is the end of his career. And I think he's going to be good. He'll be put on games. I can eventually see him taking Kirk Herbstreit's role on Amazon Prime. They can be great with Al Michaels, but we shall see. But I think this is the right move for Matt Ryan. A surprising move. We'll get it very soon, Steven. McAfee officially going to ESPN. Surprised by that one, because then he can't say his usual, do his usual shtick. Can't curse.
Yeah, the message from Levitard, I think, really struck with me because, as you know, I was a huge fan of Levitard. Still am a huge fan of Levitard, although I don't listen to their show anymore.
Why is that?
Because to be honest, it lost. It was a lot more fun. When they were within the establishment and they were anti-establishment, they were making fun of ESPN while at ESPN. And to be honest, I think some of their more creative stuff out of the box just hasn't really hit as well as their stuff that was making fun of ESPN. And also it's just, they've made too many additions. Like the old show that I knew, they've kind of revamped it and changed it. And, Stu Gatz, like they have this whole thing. Stu Gatz doesn't show up anymore to shows. They have like this, basically they could take vacation time whenever they want. Stu Gatz barely shows up. He pays attention to his other podcast. It's just, I could go on and on. I'm trying to find the response from Levitar, but basically he quote tweeted and said, "Congratulations, Pat. You're one of my favorite people. Just don't let ESPN change you. Don't let them stop you from doing you. Don't let them make you dress different. Don't let them make you speak different, blah, blah, blah." Basically saying all the things that ESPN made him do when he was there.
Yeah.
So I thought that kind of struck a chord with me. I was like, damn, like he really feels like he got out of it, even though, to be honest, a lot of consensus that I kind of feel about that show, which was at once the most popular sports talk show in the nation. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel like it's kind of lost its luster.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of surprised with the move, just considering that McAfee seems like an anti-establishment show, and they did their own thing on YouTube, and it's kind of given, hope to people like you and me, that people that are trying to make their own thing. Not that we're going to get to that point, maybe one day, but I was kind of shocked by it, and I don't like. Are they going to be on regular ESPN, or are they going to be on ESPN Plus, where they can say whatever they want? It's going to be weird.
I think they're going to be on all those platforms.
Yeah. So then, like today, Jeff Passan goes on the show, and he, I like when Jeff Passan reports, but he also wasn't wrong with anything. Like, he was shitting on the Oakland A's and saying how they're a horrible team. And then McAfee's like, they play in the Coliseum where the Raiders play? That was a shithole. Like, he didn't even realize that. So I don't even know if he could say that stuff going forward.
That's the thing, man. And the part of my take, guys, they say that Passan's an interesting dude. Pretty keeps to himself within public settings, apparently.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. So it's like whatever we see on the TV, it's kind of a surprise, I guess, to the people that know him personally. But I don't know anything about him. That's just
he's a little more opinionated these days. He's a little more opinionated these days.
It's just speculation on my part where I'm totally judging somebody. It's fine.
As you do.
Very fair.
All right, we'll get out of here. But before we do, we're going to the Oakland Greek Fest this weekend. It's a great time. You guys should go too. Love it every year. It's taking place this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Greek Orthodox Cathedral. And it's at let's see, hold on. The location is in Lincoln Avenue, Oakland Hills. Yeah. Free parking at the Mormon Temple. Yeah. So there you go. I had to redeem myself with some of the reading. But there you go.
Very well done. Very well done. You did that a lot better than the Adams read. I'll tell you that much. It's good.
That was terrible. So we will see you guys if you're coming out to the Oakland Greek Fest. Have a good time. We'll figure out what we do the next podcast. We probably won't do it Saturday because we're all getting together for the Greek Fest. Maybe a little too hungover on Sunday, but we shall figure out a time when we can meet up again.
Yeah, you know what? I've never been hungover after a Greek Fest because we eat so much damn food. It like soaks up everything.
That is true, actually.
Even after that night we had with Aleda's dad.
Yes.
We're just tequila.
Drink a lot of tequila. We watched a lot of Chappelle show with him. Great man.
Oh, man. Just memories. Anyway. All right, man.
Opa indeed. All right, guys. Thanks to the Ernies for listening and getting through my terrible reading. Steven, say what you always say.
Reading Rainbow. Just our opinion. This is not Reading Rainbow, man.